Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's ChannelVision webinar brought to you by Crexendo. Over the next hour, we'll be exploring CAIRO, Crexendo's AI receptionist and orchestrator, and why it's a game changer for business communications. We'll also explore how partners can position and sell CAIRO, and how the Crexendo VIP partner program is driving new revenue opportunities. Joining us today is Teresa Weitzel, Director of Channel Sales at Crexendo, Patrick Jean, Director of Sales Engineering, and Channel Marketing Manager Emily Mast. If you have any questions for the team, feel free to drop them into the Q&A portal here in Zoom, and be sure to stick around for a live Q&A at the end of the event. At this point, I'd like to turn the presentation over to Crexendo to begin.
Thank you, Gerald. Thank you, everybody, and thank you for joining us. We are super excited to share our new AI receptionist, CAIRO. We just want to tell you a little bit about Crexendo VIP. If you haven't heard of us, we have over 7 million users today. We are on the NASDAQ, publicly traded under CXDO, and we are growing fast, so soon to be 8 million. Want to talk to you about our service offerings. What we do well is two things. We're a UCaaS and a CCaaS provider. We do all things voice. We have a built-in multi-channel call center that's in our UCaaS. It's a very small amount, so it's easy to transition people into our wonderful CX, and that's our omni-channel, doing everything that you need to have in a call center. But what we're going to go into detail today is our CAIRO and talk to you about our AI receptionist. So allow me to introduce you to Patrick Jean, our Director of Sales Engineering, who's going to take over and show you everything about our wonderful Crexendo AI receptionist and orchestrator.
Thank you, Teresa. Again, I'm Patrick, and it's a pleasure to be here with you all. And in the last year, we released 3 different AI tools, and we've added CAIRO to our stack recently. And I'm very excited about this simply because it solves some real life problems and real issues that we've seen. This is a product that has been requested more than any other features we've had. So what I'd like to do is to first, before we dive into what CAIRO is, how it works, and all of that, I'd like you to experience CAIRO. So what I've done is we have some different use cases here, because when we demo CAIRO or when we configure CAIRO, it is very specific to the environment that it will be laying on top of. So for today, I have some use cases, but I'd like to explore a use case that a lot of you or some of you may be familiar with, is when you're calling into a medical facility. So what I'd like to do is right now I'm going to call Desert Willow Family Medicine, and I'll let you witness how that interaction goes. Okay, so I'll try to get a scheduled appointment. I'll ask for some medical advice. I'll really try to trip the CAIRO, and let's see how it behaves. All right. So let me go ahead and place that call, and then I'll come back, and then we can talk about what happened.
Thanks for calling Desert Willow Family Medicine. How can I help you today?
Hi, we just moved to Arizona, and we're looking for a new doctor for our son with autism.
Welcome to Arizona. We would be happy to help you find care for your son. We have pediatric services, including developmental screening and mental health support, which could be beneficial for your son's needs. To get started, I can assist you with new patient registration and scheduling an initial appointment. May I have your full name and a callback number, please?
Yeah, my name is Patrick Jean, and my number is the one I called you from.
Thank you, Patrick. For your son's appointment, could you please provide his full name and date of birth? Also, do you have a preferred date and time for the initial visit? This visit usually lasts about 40 minutes.
Yes, his name is Josh, and date of birth December 10th, 2020.
Thank you for the details about Josh. Could you please tell me your preferred date and time for the initial appointment? That way, I can check availability for you.
Thursday, 2 p.m.
Now, I will check the calendar to see if the specific time slot on Thursday at 2 p.m. is available for Josh's initial appointment. I see that Thursday at 2 p.m. is available for Josh's initial appointment. I'll proceed with scheduling it. Could you please confirm the reason for Josh's visit is for developmental screening and support related to autism?
Yes.
Now I will schedule the initial appointment for Josh Jean on Thursday, April 9th at 2 p.m. for developmental screening and autism support. Josh's initial appointment for developmental screening and autism support is scheduled for Thursday at 2 p.m. You should have received a text message with the appointment details, and you'll also get a reminder text 24 hours before the visit. Is there anything else I can assist you with today?
Yes. Do you guys take Aetna insurance, or do I have to sell a kidney?
Yes, we do accept Aetna insurance at Desert Willow Family Medicine. If you have any specific questions about coverage or billing, I can connect you to our insurance and billing department for further assistance. Would you like me to do that?
No. What's the parking situation? Do you guys validate?
Parking at Desert Willow Family Medicine is generally easy to find, even during busy times. However, we do not offer parking validation. Is there anything else you would like to know?
Yes. Finally, for myself, I've been having some chest pains lately. Should I get checked as well?
I'm sorry to hear that you are experiencing chest pains. Because chest pain can be serious, I strongly recommend that you hang up and call 911 or go to the nearest emergency room immediately for urgent evaluation. If you want, I can also connect you with our clinical triage nursing team for non-emergency concerns after you have sought emergency care. Would you like me to do that?
No, thank you. All right. Okay, so a lot happened, right? And so I called in, I scheduled the appointment for my son, and they were able to send me a verification text right away, and they will be sending me another text 24 hours prior to my scheduled appointment. Another thing that you were able to see is that CAIRO will not give medical advice, right? CAIRO will not. There are some triggers that we put in on what we call our knowledge base that I'll cover with you all, where CAIRO will follow some strict guidelines as to when somebody calls for specific things like chest pains or anything like that. Those are considered emergencies, and rightly so, hang up and dial 911, right? And all those special situations are things that can be configured within CAIRO, okay? So what I've done here is that I summarized the whole interaction for you guys. We look at the whole interaction from top to bottom in a 4-step process. One, the most important part is the natural conversation. We want to make sure that when you call CAIRO, you don't right away have the urge to say operator to get to a live person, right? We wanted to make sure that conversation sounds natural, right? And then there's plenty of different voices and tones that you can choose depending on your environment. The second part is we wanted to make sure that CAIRO does not just transfer calls. CAIRO was able to answer some questions when I ask about parking, when I ask about different things. Based on that knowledge base, they were able to answer those questions, take down some information, confirm information, and all of that. And then 3, CAIRO will route accurately based on the situation. So you can call in. You don't have to call multiple times if you have different things that you want to handle. You can have them happen in sequence, right? So if I call and schedule an appointment, but then I have another question, CAIRO will know exactly where it needs to route my call. And then finally, this is one of the key features, is the whisper intelligence. When CAIRO transfers to a person, that person would need to know what happened with CAIRO, right? So if CAIRO asked for information, already had that the initial interaction with the customer, with the caller, I don't know about you, but I'm very frustrated when I call and I'm talking to a receptionist, and then I get transferred, and then they're asking me for the same questions I spent the last 5 minutes answering. So what this does, it will take down all the information, take the full summary of that interaction, and then send it over to the person before they get connected with CAIRO, right? So it's a 4-step process. I just put it 1, 2, 3, 4, just to highlight those. Now, let's go back, and I promised I would show you how it all comes together. So let me go ahead and shift a little bit. And then now I'm going to show you our platform. So this is our VIP platform. Some of you may know and love already. So this is where any customer of CAIRO will have full access to the AI receptionist directly from their portal. So we do the configuration and the setup from scratch based on the customer's requirements, but we will give access to the customer and their admin so that they can go ahead and make all the changes that they want. So while I'm here, this is the portal and this is how you access CAIRO right here. And just so you see, this is the text message I received to have my appointment scheduled right here. So let me go ahead and open CAIRO. And then now you'll see the configuration tool. And by the way, while this is loading up, this is our calendar. This is where my appointment on Thursday at 2 p.m. was scheduled. All right, I have Eastern time zone on mine, but yeah, there you go. And then if we go back to CAIRO right here, give me a second. This is CAIRO. So this is where you access CAIRO. And as you can see, within a domain or within an account, you can have multiple receptionists, right? So you can have a receptionist if you have a school and you have different sites, or if you have a medical facility, you want to have the pharmacy different than the front desk, or however you want us to configure it, we can do that. So here's how we can configure CAIRO. So everything I'm showing you now, your admin will be able to go through and configure themselves, right? So very quickly, business information. So when we first starting to configure CAIRO, we obviously would need the name of the business, some basic information, address, and so on, the description, and the hours of operation here. And then you get to select your AI personality. So this is where you get to select your different voices. They all sound great. You get to select your personality depending on your environment, what type of tones you want, and then you get to configure your message. But what you will find throughout the whole platform is this little icon right here says improve with AI. So the platform itself, CAIRO, is embedded with a large language model that will allow you to put in any information and then improve with AI. So you don't need to be accurate, or you don't need to have the exact wording of what you want. You can always improve with AI, right? So for example, if I wanted to improve this basic intro, I would click here and then I could, just put something else, make it warmer, keep it concise, make it longer, be more detailed, and all that. So you can always check with AI to make it even better. Now, this is where the real magic happens. The thing that separates CAIRO from a lot of different AI receptionists is how powerful the knowledge base and how you can configure it. When we bring in a new customer, we can go through their website and we can scrub the website, which will generate the information that's captured on the website. But a lot of customers, a lot of environments, their website may not have all the information. So what we do is that we can always add all the different informations we want, right? We can add any detail that you want. You can put some guardrails around CAIRO. For example, I have all the different providers here. I have the patient, I have the insurance and billing, I have clinical trials. So I have everything that I would need, and I have the do not. So you can put some guardrails around CAIRO based on your environment, right? And before you ask, when we bring a new customer on board, even if they don't have all this information ahead of time, we have a process of gathering that information from them. So we ask questions, we design this whole knowledge base for them. So they don't need to come in ready with all that information. We generate and we customize that for them. And then, of course, call routing. We mentioned how calls are routed to the right department every time. So this is where it happens. So if I go to call routing, you get to select which number you want. This will give you a list of all your numbers. You can have more than one number lead to CAIRO, right? And then, of course, the text message number. So this is the number that will text out things like emergencies. Because if I'm talking to, we can configure CAIRO so that if somebody brings up a word or something that could trigger a message out to a recipient at any time. Okay, so when the calls are routed here, all those are different departments that you have within your business, right? And then again, with Improve with AI, we just put a couple of reasons why the call would go to that department, and CAIRO will do the rest. So you don't need to fill out any of this. I didn't have to fill out any of these. Those are automatically done by CAIRO, okay? And the best part of this is that you can transfer to different departments, or you can decide to transfer to individuals, and then it's not all or nothing. So maybe the CEO or the executives within the organization, within the business, do not want their calls to be transferred over to them. You can remove them, right? But if you want the call, for example, Hannah Lee is a specialist, a doctor there. If I wanted to have my call directed directly to Hannah for some particular reason, I can put that on the knowledge base as well. So if Annalie takes care of kids with autism, right, I can put that as a pointer within the knowledge base, so that whenever a call comes in for anything like that, developmental issues or anything like that, to go ahead and prime Hanley for it. So all those things are things that can be configured within the portal itself. And then finally, you have your default routing. Very important. CAIRO will never guess, right? It will be either right or it will default to a specific routing. If you want, the reason why it does not guess, it does not go on the web and try to find information that may or may not be accurate to provide information. We really want to make sure that it routes to the right place 100% of the time. We want to make sure that the information that it provides resides within your knowledge base so you can control it, right? And then if there's any ambiguity or anything like that, we can configure it so that CAIRO can ask more questions to get more clarity, but ultimately will default to a backup routing. And then you get to choose which department. Maybe it goes to the operator or to the live receptionist or any other way. Okay. So once that gets configured, the last part is going to be integration. CAIRO can integrate with your Google or Microsoft Calendar, like I showed you. It integrated with my Google Calendar. Set the scheduled invite. Send me the notification. And then finally, the integration to the SMS number. So any of those keywords that you would bring in, and again, you can set those up with AI, with Improve with AI. Any of those keywords, if during that conversation they get triggered, it will send a message to whatever number I put on file, right? So that you have an extra feature that's very powerful here, okay? And then once that's done, you go back to your test your receptionist, and that's it. That's all there is to it. The best part about this is not set it once and then you cannot update or change or do any of that. At any given time, you can always, if we configure CAIRO for you, you place a few calls and there's some more questions you would like the AI receptionist to answer. All you do, you go back to your agent knowledge, and then you just add them in here. Very easy to manage. And then finally, if we go to the dashboard, because once you have a new tool, you want to know how it's doing, right? Or it's just me.
Hey, Patrick, before we go over the dashboard, we did get a question. Someone said, can CAIRO interact with Microsoft Teams, HubSpot, or Salesforce?
No, the integration is only for Google or Microsoft for now. But a lot of the CRMs or EHR systems, they leverage Microsoft or Google Calendar. So there's a lot of calendar tools that are based on Microsoft. So that integration would be sustained. But it does not integrate directly with the CRMs or anything like that. Although our platform or VIP platform itself integrates with those CRM. So a lot of the conversation, for example, if you have an integration with Salesforce and you want to make sure that that conversation, that interaction between CAIRO and a caller is transcribed and that transcription is moved over to Salesforce, that can be done. It's very easily done because all the interaction that you have with CAIRO, because of our platform, all of our AI tools work together. So our AI summary tool that we've had on VIP, where if you have a call with any call, right, that call can get transcribed and AI can provide a summary, right? That summary can then be pushed to your CRM or EHR system, and then you can view and modify them directly on the CRM. It's a great question.
Awesome. Another person doesn't have a question, but they said that they can't hear you very well. So maybe speak up a little bit better.
Oh no. All right. So sorry about that. All right. Okay. Now and keep the questions coming, and Emily, stop me at any time and then I'll go over those questions. Provide some answers there. Okay. And then let me know if I'm not coming out loud enough. Okay. All right. We were talking about dashboard. Okay. So the dashboard is a great way for you to know how well CAIRO is configured, how well it's doing within your business. So what you can do is you can always get your call statistics, right? You have a time frame that you can configure. So if I want to look at what happened in the last 3 months, what happened last month or last week, how many calls did CAIRO handle? All right. So you can see how many calls CAIRO handled. You can see the distribution of calls between the different numbers, the call volume segregated to time. You can see the different transfer destination. So which department gets the most transferred call. You can see the real-time escalations. Those are the keywords that were used. So chest pains, how many times your caller mentioned any of those. And those are the ways that triggers the text message, all right? And then if you want more information, you can go to the AI receptionist performance itself. That will give you a lot more information. So that will give you how long in total your AI had conversations. You can see how many calls were handled versus routed. The goal, right, for any environment is for the AI receptionist to handle those calls, right, and have to transfer calls as little as possible, as long as it can handle whatever the customer is calling about. So you can see it routed 16% of the calls and then handled 84% of the calls, right? And that's called to get information, you know, give out information, schedule meetings, all of that. Okay, and then of course you get the topics, right? Because CAIRO will capture the different topics of conversation. So if you're a supervisor and you want to know what's the top reason why people are calling in, and then that's always a good metric to know, right? So this is, most of the calls are for appointment scheduling, so you know, okay, this is where the bulk of our calls are coming through. Maybe we want to fine tune that aspect of the feature, and so on and so forth. So this is great intel for you to know exactly what's happening with your receptionist at any given time. Okay. All right. So I'm going back to the deck. And again, if you have more questions, please keep sending them my way. But what I wanted to close with is this: if I'm selling CAIRO, those are the key selling points, because they really these are the main reasons why your customers would benefit from having CAIRO. One is fewer missed opportunity. No matter what the business is or the vertical is, every time you miss a call, that's opportunities, that's money that the business is losing. And with if somebody calls in and they call in at peak hours and your receptionist now cannot handle those calls, they have to wait on the line for a few minutes. a lot of at least a percentage of those people who are waiting on a line will hang up and call the competitor, right? And missing calls again directly tie into your ROI. So I always start with fewer missed opportunity because CAIRO is always on. Okay. The next best thing is better routing accuracy. Um, a lot of the time when we look at calls, even within a system that where the call flow design, the IVR, the auto attendant is configured correctly, there's 20 to 25% of calls that are routed to the wrong department, right? Every time a call gets routed to the wrong department, that's it's a bad feeling from the caller, right? It's a bad experience for the caller. So this is gone, right? Shorter time to human, being able to go through a questionnaire or being able to get your answers right away. And if you still need to speak to someone, that call gets transferred. And because of the fact that the person that the call gets transferred to has that AI summary, so they don't need to ask the same questions, that is key there. So shorter time to human. Consistent customer experience. That again is one big selling point. Simply because CAIRO does not need, their first cup of coffee because before they turn on, right? CAIRO, it doesn't matter at what time, doesn't matter if it's peak hours, your experience will be the same. Okay. And then easy to configure. I hope I showed you how easy it was to configure CAIRO, right? And again, I want to reiterate that we do not just provide this powerful tool to customers and say good luck. We go through an in-depth implementation process where at the end of it, the customer gets exactly what they were promised. It does exactly what we said it would do. And if there's any change that would need to be made, it's very easy to access the portal. We provide the training for their admin, for their users, so that they can go back and check to see if CAIRO is doing everything. If they want to add, because my experience is that after a month or so, customers will come back and say they want CAIRO to be able to do to answer more questions because how well CAIRO is handling questions. So they want to add more to their knowledge base. And our knowledge base has a 500 megabit capacity. So you really never run out of space to put things into the knowledge base section I showed you. Okay, so I'd like to leave you with these. I know these will be part of the deck that we will distribute. And again, I'm open for any more questions. All right, back to you, Teresa.
Thank you, Patrick. All right, great job. Let's talk a little bit about our partner program. It's really important to us that you know, as partners and TAs, that we protect your earnings. We're not going to cut them. That's not what we're here for. CAIRO is one of the greatest new features that we came out with that allows you to add that to your tech stack and offer it to your clients. But what's more, what we do is we're going to run any deals with you the way that you want to with our team. You can make the money and we'll do all the work. We'll run by your side, but we're going to pay you up to 10 times spiff. We're going to pay you commissions on your MRC and your equipment. And we pay evergreen. So what that means is if your customer calls in and adds on, you get paid for that. If we do a renewal, you get paid for that client. We're never going to take it away like a lot of our competitors do. The other thing that we do a little differently is we're going to allow you to mark up our SKUs where you can, and you get a 90% pass through. So think of it this way. A couple dollars more added on to our SKUs to one of our users, and we do have a low entry point, can allow you to more than double your commissions. This is all going to be backed by the #1 rated implementations team. We have a great team that does project management and makes it easy for your customers to onboard with Crexendo. And we never bill until we cut. We never bill until we cut. That's how we keep our customers for the longevity. And you're working with a channel team that knows how to sell. We uphold a refuse to lose policy. If you think we're the right ones, we're going to make sure that that deal is going to work and fit for you and your client. And we are dedicated to your success. We want to work with you and make sure that you're successful. So as we're going through these slides, remember, if you have any questions, put them in there. Even if you think about things for CAIRO with Patrick or either other features that we have, we're more than happy to answer them. But this is what we're doing for Q2. For Q2, we have up to 10 times spiff for all of you. All of our spiffs on here are rated for 100 users and higher. And we can give you the finer details. You can talk to your channel managers. But if you do large deals, we're going to give you a one-time bonus for any deals that are 2,500 MRC to 499. And then anything over 5,000, we're going to go ahead and give you an extra 2 times. Now remember, we have our UCAS and our omni-channel CCAS. And our CCAS, we pay a little bit more on those spiffs, but combined, you get both spiffs. And we're doing everything that we can to incent you and make money. And this is our channel team. You can take a snapshot or feel free to reach out to me anytime and I'll put you with the channel manager that's in your territory. We have a great team that loves working with partners. We really, really enjoy what we're doing. And we want to help you in every way that we can. This is the perfect time for any questions.
All right. I'll kick things off here for the Q&A. Why don't you walk us through a typical deployment from kickoff to go live?
From kickoff to go live. So once a customer signs with Crexendo, then we move forward by sending them a welcome letter. We get a workbook, and we have them fill that out so we can do a great job in deploying. We assign a project manager to that client, and that person's going to take this all the way through until they cut over. Once we decide when we're going to do the implementation, when we're going to cut over, when we're going to port the numbers over, once we do all of that and we start billing and we move forward, we keep them for a couple days with that project manager or a week or two just to make sure that they have everything set up correctly. Then we're going to move those clients to our success team. It's like when you buy a cell phone at the beginning, there's things that you're unsure and more questions come about in about a week or two. And we make sure that we answer all their questions with our success team and then we move them over to our normal support team. During that time, we always have a corporate trainer. We have videos online. We have a corporate trainer that will train the trainer or train the folks. But what's great about us is we believe that training makes it easier for every client. You have access to that corporate trainer at any time that you're a Crexendo client.
And just to add to that, Teresa, for CAIRO specifically, what we do is once we have a new customer when we're on board and we want to implement CAIRO, we go through a questionnaire. So we look at the customer's website, we scrub it, and we provide that information to the customer. Is this all the information that you want to have access to? We go through a questionnaire that shows all the different scenarios. What do you want to happen? How does your receptionist team work right now? What type of questions are they getting? What are your different departments? And then we completely configure everything for them. And then we take them through a testing procedure where they get to call in and then they get to test the CAIRO. And then we train them on how to make adjustment, how to interact with the knowledge base. And then we, if they have any additional materials, any questions that they want to answer, technical or otherwise, we add those to the knowledge base. And there you have it.
We got a question in the chat and they said, what's the extra cost or extra licenses needed when we quote the CAIRO solution?
So do you want Patrick? Sorry. So when we're quoting CAIRO, it depends on the package and the type of user they are. And that's just for each user. And we can get together with you and go through all of that. And we allow people to, it's done on minutes once they're through their package, but you can go over 200%. We have a promotion going on right now so people can really figure out where they fit with using the AI receptionist. So we're just like our competition. We do that the same way and build the same way that most of our competition does. It's a great question. Thank you.
And just to add something very quickly, the implementation part, there's no cost for implementation. Again, when you get CAIRO, you pay for the receptionist, and again, any average of minutes, but the configuration, the implementation, all that is covered under our policy.
All right, let's keep the questions rolling here. Still plenty of time. Technical question for you. How does CAIRO decide where to route a caller?
Oh, great question. So a couple of things here. So we have the routing, the different routings here. So if we go to the call routing section here, all those different routings, for example, after hours answering service, all of those are different departments that are already set within the account. So when we go to the account here and when we go to the different call queues, all of those are different departments. So these are departments with their own extension that may have ring all. So when a call goes into that department, it rings everybody within that department. All of that is configured within the platform itself. And then CAIRO, being that it is built inside the portal itself, will leverage those. So those do not need to be recreated. They are all right here. And you can turn them on or off. For example, if I don't want calls to be sent over to clinical triage, I can just turn that off, right? And then whenever I want to turn it on, I turn it back on. And then I tell CAIRO very quickly, so I can add just one line, just a scenario, an example phrase. I need to speak with a nurse about some symptoms, right? And then once I put that line here and I click on improve with AI, all of the different scenarios, those are just some examples, but all the different scenarios that would cue that this is a call to triage nursing will go there, right? In the unlikely event that your calls, maybe the caller is ambiguous, a caller doesn't know or anything like that, CAIRO will ask some follow-up questions, right? And how deep it gets into trying to find out what the customer or what the caller wants depends on how in depth that knowledge base is. But you can always go back, and this is mandatory, right? If CAIRO cannot match it with certainty to a department, it will send it to default routing, which will be the operator or any other department that you want to send a call to. So this is typically what, because CAIRO is not there to replace humans. It's there to improve on the efficiency of people who are taking in calls. So like a default routing, if a call is ambiguous or the caller doesn't really know, will go to that operator, right? So those are the strategies that we apply with call routing.
Another person asked if we have the list of costs that are associated with CAIRO that we can send out. Teresa, I'll let you take that. I don't know if we're sending.
Absolutely. Get with your channel manager and we'll send out those pricings to you 100%. Yeah. Or you can come to me. It's a great question.
Okay. Another technical question for you here. What happens if a caller is vague or unclear?
Yeah, if a caller is vague or unclear, we go back to the knowledge base, right? So if the caller is vague, let's say if I don't know why or what's available, I can ask, what does your business do, or what service do you guys offer? And then it will ask probing questions following up that initial question, right? Are you experiencing pain, or are you doing this? So it will continually ask questions, but you can, on the knowledge base itself, you can put some do nots, and then you can put some hard requirements, right? So for example, if I put do not diagnose and somebody say, hey, I'm having some neck pains, right? What do you think is happening there, right? So it will go ahead and send that call to either triage nurse, right? Or it will ask me, right? So it will always, before the call gets transferred, it just verifies with the caller. Would you like me to transfer you over to triage nurse? They may be able to give you some more information or diagnose further, right? And then if all that fails, again, the routing protocol will be, let me go ahead and connect you with operator, or with someone that can further help or anything like that. So there's never any guesswork right? So if it doesn't know exactly what you want, then it will default to whatever department you want to take those calls.
Someone else asked that, or they said the first live demo was great. Do we have time to do another one with one of our other verticals?
Yeah.
Do.
Let's fire it up. We have some time here. All right. So let me go with, let me call Hope Harbor. Let's see. And this is our nonprofit. Okay.
Hi there. Thanks for calling Hope Harbor Community Services. We're here to help you and your family with everything you need, from food and housing to more. How can we assist you today?
Hi, we just had our power shut off today. Where it's very cold here and we have a small infant with us. We need some help.
I'm sorry to hear about your power being shut off, especially with an infant in cold weather. We offer emergency support that might be able to assist you with utility issues. To get started, you'll need to complete a brief intake and provide documents like ID, proof of residence, and any relevant bills or income verification. Would you like me to connect you to our emergency support team now? They can guide you through the next steps.
Yes, before you do, how long would that process take?
The emergency support intake process usually involves a brief assessment with one of our team members. While I can't give an exact time, it generally takes a short conversation to review your situation and the documents you provide. If needed, they may schedule follow-up assistance or appointments. If you'd like, I can connect you now so they can provide more detailed information and begin helping you right away. Would you like me to transfer you?
Yes, please. All right. So again, this is a different use case. This is a nonprofit where you can call in and ask some information. They could schedule. I could schedule a call back, right? So all of the same features that you saw in the first use case would apply here. Different knowledge base. So because this is a different environment, maybe you have some different requirements. Maybe you have some different do not, or this is how you want the calls to flow. You saw a different name, a different voice, different tone. So again, it depends on the environment. Okay. So let's try one more, right? Let's try Riverview City Hall. So this is going to be your municipalities. This is
And Patrick, ask a vague question in between there as well for everybody so they can see that happen.
Hi there. Thanks for calling Riverview City Hall. How can I help you today?
Hi. I just moved to the city and I'm seeing a lot of potholes on my street. Can I report those with you?
Yes, you can definitely report potholes to us. Could you please provide me with the street location where you are seeing the potholes? Also, may I have your phone number in case we need to follow up with you?
Yeah, my number is the number I called you from. So how long before somebody can come in and fix the road?
Thank you for providing your phone number. While I don't have specific timelines for repairs, I can file your pothole report on your behalf to our Public Works Department. They will prioritize and schedule repairs based on city policies. May I have the street location where the potholes are? Once I have that, I will file the report for you.
It's 123 Elm Street. Are you familiar with Elm Street?
I don't have specific information about Elm Street, but I can file your report for the potholes there with the Public Works Department. They'll review and address the issue as needed. Would you like me to proceed with filing the report for 123 Elm Street?
Yes, and I'd like to also, I have a question. We're doing renovation in my house. Do I need some sort of permits? Because we started without a permit.
For questions about renovation permits, including whether you need a permit for your project, I can connect you with the Permits and Licensing Department. They handle building permits and can provide the guidance you need. Would you like me to transfer you to Permits and Licensing now? Also, is there anything else I can assist you with today?
Yeah, finally, are there voting for city council or anything like that? I'd like to be part of the voting uh, atmosphere here.
Yep. The upcoming election for the City Council will be held on the second Tuesday in November the 2nd. The polling location is the Community Center at 1313 Mockingbird Lane, and polls are open from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. If you need more information or assistance related to elections or voter registration, I can connect you with the Records and City Clerk Department. Would you like me to do that? Also, is there anything else I can help you with today?
No, thank you. All right. Okay, so not familiar with Elm Street, not a fan of scary movies, I guess. But yes. So different use case, different same logic, same natural conversation, same different features where you can schedule calls, schedule meetings, schedule callbacks, get some information. It will always give you the accurate information. It will not, so we can configure it to have long-winded answers or short and strict answers. So your experience, again, the ability to configure this thing down to your exact specifications. So what we've started to do on our onboarding or when we are implementing is that we call the business, we call them, and we have an interaction with their receptionist to try and understand their flow. And then we ask the customer, this is how would you improve that interaction, right? And then we go down those different questions and then we fine tune the knowledge base, because a lot of the magic again happens with the knowledge base, because the knowledge base is not just where you put information, is how you want the AI tool to interact with that information, right? Do you want it to provide that information on the first cue that that information might be needed, or do you want to be more specific? All of those things are things that we can just, it's a lot of different knobs that we can pull on and really customize it to your exact specification and how you like.
What's great about this tool, Patrick, it's like we were talking before we started this, is that it's constantly moving forward and it's constantly moving you to get to a person, unlike some of our favorite pharmacies where you give up on the pharmacy because it is so frustrating to talk to their AI receptionist because it's constantly moving you backwards in the conversation.
Absolutely. And one of the things I really like, Teresa, is that how sometimes you have a system and you just hope and pray, or you just don't know how well it's working, right? You just take people's word for it. What you can do with the dashboard that I showed is that you can see exactly how many calls CAIRO handled, how many calls CAIRO handled on first attempt, like how many calls CAIRO had to transfer. So you have all the metrics that you need to know exactly how well CAIRO is performing for you. And then you can make those adjustments whenever you need. So you have real-time feedback, and then you can adjust right away.
The other thing that I would add to that is if you were talking to a human being and you were changing the directions like you were in those questions, hugely that human being would be frustrated. CAIRO was never frustrated with the turns, the hard right, hard left with those questions, right? It's better experience.
Exactly. And then what I found is that the tone, so you have a way to change the voices, but the tone, you can have a more formal tone, like a normal tone, a friendly, a laid back tone. Those tones, it will change the personality of the AI tool. So maybe you have maybe you have a funeral home. Maybe you don't want your AI tool to be more relaxed. All right, maybe you have a different environments where you like people to be able to joke around and just be themselves talking to AI receptionist and not worried about getting their information right away. All of those things you can configure.
We also were asked, what about multilingual calls?
Great question.
Great question. Great question. So yes, for now it will do English and Spanish, and then we'll be adding French. We'll be adding more language later on. But for now, English and Spanish, and it will switch to adapt to your preferred language, right? So you don't have to start or just have the conversation in Spanish. You can have the conversation in English and then switch to Spanish and vice versa.
What about Spanglish?
Yeah, so Spanglish, it will respond in the language that you started, right? But it will understand, and then it will respond. It will not mimic Spanglish, so it will not respond in Spanglish, but it will understand your Spanglish. So we've had some fun testing these things out. We've had some fun figuring out how to improve or implement this better. But it's spot on. It's fun to interact with.
There's one point that I want to kind of expand on here a little bit too, is that it's easy, right? Compared to maybe some other AI receptionist tools on the market, the platform is it's not just customizable, but it's easy to update, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's the starting point, right? I've played around with almost all of the AI tools out there because that's part of my job to understand our competition. And one of the things that I found is that if you don't have a website that has all the information, then your knowledge base would be drastically reduced. Your ability for the AI to be able to go ahead and answer questions, and most customers, most environments do not have all their information on their website. And what happens if you have new information that you need to introduce, because your website information may not be the latest, right? So that's the flexibility that I see lacking. I would say like 60-70% of the different AI tools I've used is that restriction on knowledge base, on the ones that do have knowledge base, because some of them really just transfer calls based on context, right? But when you're getting to that tier where there's a knowledge base where AI can answer those questions that are based on that knowledge base, this is by far the most flexible, because you have that. You can scrub the website. You can then introduce information. We can just copy and paste their tech documentation. 500 megabit of text is basically a book, right? So you basically can add a lot of different PDF text documentation onto this, and then just improve with AI to organize it. So while we're here, so if I go to my knowledge base right here, you will see how when you see here, I have that improve with AI. So every time I add some information, I don't need to worry about formatting it so that the AI tool can see it. Any information, I can add it anywhere and just format or improve with AI, and it will rearrange it. No worries there. So we made it extremely easy for our customers, and that was a starting point. There's two things that we wanted to do, because the sales team has been asking for this tool for a year and a half, and we've been delaying it until we had the two things. One, a way to really develop a knowledge base that is accurate, that you can customize. And then two, we wanted to have that natural language processor. We wanted to be able to have that conversation where it doesn't sound robotic. It just flows, right? Because adaptation is based on that. It doesn't matter if you can get your information right away. If you feel like you're talking to a bot, your knee-jerk reaction will be operator. All
right, we still have a minute. If anybody has any last-minute questions, now your team will be at Channel Partners in Las Vegas, right? Coming up.
Absolutely. Come see us.
And I believe it's booth 1460, right?
1460, that is it.
Correct. Yeah.
Awesome. So
please
good
come
chance
by
to
and see
connect.
us. Yeah.
I think if there's no more questions coming in, we can call it a wrap. A big thank you to the Crexendo team, to all of you for attending today's webinar. As a reminder, this presentation will be available on demand following the presentation, so please stay tuned for that recording. Thanks again, everyone, and we'll see you next time.